Okay, let's talk about the backtester. The first thing we need to do is learn how to even backtest something. Over here we have a list of all our different instrument lists in NinjaTrader, including the default, which is the one that you primarily use. I'm going to choose the S&P 1211 contract, and I'm going to click the B up here for backtest. I can also right click it and go to backtest, and that'll do the same thing. Now here I can select which strategy I want to backtest. I'm going to go ahead and use one that I created a while back called Triangle Trader, and there's only one parameter for this, so there's not going to be too much change in here. I've kind of already optimized this one and got it down to what I want. Now what I can do here is in data series I can choose what type I want to run it on. You can run it on all different kinds of chart types, range charts, volume, tick, anything like that. I'm just going to choose minute and go to 30 minute. And now the time frame. How far back do I want to run this back test? Well, I want to run it back as far as I can, so I'm going to choose January 1st to 2010. And as far as my session template goes, I can use the normal trading hours, which is usually just use instrument settings, or you can go down and choose any one of these other session templates. I'm going to choose default 24/7, so this strategy is going to run all day long, all night long. Here I can include my commissions, which I do want to do, which are set by my broker, or you can set your own on simulated. And then there's just a few other things. Label, not useful in the backtester, something that's useful when you have several strategies running and they all have the same name. You can kind of specify which one they are. Minimum bars required. If I had a SMA being calculated in this strategy and it was on a 28 for the long period, well then I'd want to have at least 30 bars, so that I don't have any weird funkiness at the start. Historical fill processing, there's two types, default and liberal. Liberal is always going to get you filled. Default may or may not get you filled. It kind of has to go through it. It's a more realistic way of backtesting. Slippage, I always put in one, at least one, because that's what's going to happen in real life. You're going to get slipped, and one tick can make up a lot, and especially when you're optimizing, one tick of slippage can be the difference between a system that optimized out to always trading, seems really good, like it's one of those high frequency trading strategies, and really it's not at all. It's just doing well because it doesn't get slipped. So always put slippage in there. Exit on close, if I wanted to exit out and only trade during the day, so if I stayed in a position and nothing else in my strategy wanted to get me out, then I would exit on the close. In this case, I want to run all the time. I want my strategy to choose when I get out. And then time and force, we all know what that is. I'm just going to leave it on good till cancel. And I'm going to run the back test. And here's my back test results. And this is a kind of a long-term strategy. I've put a lot of work into it. You can see I've got a lot on the long side, nothing on the short side, meaning there's probably an issue with this, or more likely it just goes long all the time, and being that the S&P has been in kind of an upswing, it just looks really great. Because on the short side you can see we've got a lot more evenness. We got a gross profit of 49,000 and a gross loss of 49,000, leaving us with only $100. So this isn't really a realistic result, but it is kind of impressive, and that's why I used it for the video. But it's not truly going to be how it goes. There's a lot of information here. You can see that overall, according to how many trades I took, this is the commission that I ended up running into. I'm going to change this over to currency so we can actually get a value on our drawdown. This is a terrible drawdown. $21,000 is a horrible drawdown, but now I know that. I know that this system, I'm going to need at least double that in order to trade this. Let's see what else we have. We have our average trade, $2,000, which is great if that's the way it happens. And that's on the overall. However, on the short side, it's not very good. We can see our largest winning trade, our largest losing trade. Obviously, there's an issue. 38,000 or 387,000 for a largest winning trade doesn't actually happen. Largest losing trade, $2,200. So that's the overall summary. It's a little helpful, can give you a quick idea of how good something is. You've got your Sharpe ratios, your profit factors, all that good stuff. Let's go to a chart and we can actually see where it's taking trades. You can see I have an issue with my data here, and that's why I have such a big number, is because the S&P is trading nowhere near 8,800 right now, and obviously it said I went long, and that's what made those huge profits. So I found out quickly by looking at the chart what the issue was with the strategy and why it said I had 387,000 as my overall profit. Now in this one I have multiple entries that I can take. So if it sees a signal and it sees another signal, it's going to take them both. And this strategy has a lot of issues. And you can see that now by the chart. You can see that, oh no, my strategy is going long, going long, going long when it's obviously in a downward trend. It's not doing well. Shouldn't be doing that. I don't want that. I don't want to add to a losing position, add to a losing position. Then we have our gross profit and loss. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is just re-backtest, and I'm going to disconnect from my simulated data feed so that I can actually get a realistic backtest here, because my simulated data feed was in an uptrend all night long, and that's why it's at 88,000. If I rerun this, and I'm going to take off just one day, we should have a better result. There we go. There's a realistic result. There's my strategy over the last 2 years, $10,000 in profit. So we've gotten rid of that one issue. I still have multiple trades being taken, which I don't want, but that's something I can fix now, something I didn't know about before, and that's why we use the backtester, so that we don't just run something live and go crazy. Graphs wise, there's more than just cumulative profit. We can also see how efficient our strategy is at both entry and exit. We can see the max adverse excursion, which is a great tool for figuring out where you want to put your stop loss. This tells you basically MAE is max adverse excursion, how far the market goes against you whenever you take a trade. So it goes by adverse excursion and profit and loss. Adverse excursion, and I can do a line here, and what I want to do is basically take a line, and I want them to be the same value. So if we did 1500 and 1500, and I want to just block off the most reds I can without blocking off any greens. So what it looks like here, what I could do is 1,000, and I could take all these reds that ended up having a lot more loss than 1,000, and a few here that had less loss, and put them all to 1,000 with my stop loss, and I'm not taking out any profitable trades. Now the thing that happens though is all these profitable trades that had like 6,000 that really made it look good are going to be 1,000 as well. So it's kind of a trade-off. So this graph isn't really going to make up for the optimizer, but after you've optimized to a certain extent, you can look at these graphs and get a good idea. In order to test the historical accuracy, you can look at executions and trades and make sure that it's actually taking the trades that you're expecting it to, and there's nothing overlapping, or there's not some kind of weirdness where it takes a trade, it takes an exit before it gets out, or I mean it exits before it gets in, which I have had happen to me before, and that was a programming issue. Trades, you can export this to Excel, you can do a Monte Carlo simulation and generate it, and this is going to give you a statistical idea of how often you can expect something to happen. Periods, you can break this up to even in the half hour of the day and see how much profit you make at every half hour of the day that this thing trades. So if there's a certain point where it's always just bad, which here looks like 9:30 when it opens, then I might not want to trade on the open. I might want to just say during the time between 9 and 10, don't trade, because this is the least profitable area, you know. And then down here about closing time and around 1:30 when they come back from lunch, this is looking really good. Maybe I want to focus there. Maybe I don't want to trade in these other times and risk anything. That's what's great about this period section. Orders, a lot like executions, you can see what orders it placed. And settings, this is just telling you what settings you use. You can export these to Excel as well and save them so you know in the future. So that's been a brief overview of the backtester. If you'd like, we can move on to talking about the optimizer or walk forward optimizer, or we can go back to the start and look at other features that NinjaTrader provides.